So please, can we all see my screen? Okay. So since we use a Google Colab, do we know how to import the data set to the notes, the Python notebook?
Yes.
Okay, so I should just go straight then. Okay. So this data set is about MTN customer data set. MTN is a network provider in Nigeria. So we're using data from their Q1 customer base. So just like their customer behavior. So this data set will help decision makers to know what customer behavioral patterns are and give them the opportunity to make strategies on how to keep their customers, so to retain the customers and how best to make profit. Because the idea behind every business is to make profit. Even if you might be customer oriented, you still want to have something at the back of your bank account which you use to pay your staff. So as a data analyst, most decision making is centered on what you provide or the report or dashboard you provide for decision makers. So decision makers can be senior managers. So depending on the structure of the organization. So for some organizations, they have monthly meetings. Like in my case, we have monthly meetings, we have weekly meetings. There are some meetings that are quarterly. So in all these meetings as a data analyst, you need to present dashboards, reports, and help inform decision making. So if we've gone through the data set that was provided, we understand it's made up of different columns. I think it should be 17. There are 17 columns from customer ID, full name, date of purchase. So date of purchase will be the first day the customer subscribed. So the state, customer location, the device the customer uses, the gender, the satisfaction rates. So at the end of customers, when the customer uses the service, so the customer might give a 5-star or 1-star or 2-star, so depending on it. Then text feedback. So each column on this dataset can be used for different analysis. So let's take the customer review, which is text feedback. So that can be used for sentiment analysis. So sentiment analysis was one of the work I did on my project. So it's just to give you a clear understanding of what customers think. So based on the feedback being left on sites for businesses. So based on those feedbacks, you take those texts and carry out analysis on them. So sentiment, so just like the name says sentiment. So what sentiment the customer has while giving that review. So based on the review, you now check out what the rating the customer gives. So at times you see lengthy customer reviews will result to either positive or negative, while brief customer reviews might also result to positive or negative. So you need to consider those two columns while running sentiment analysis. So for gender, you could carry out analysis on the gender, be it using charts, pie charts, just basic visualizations or analysis. So the subscription plan is also a column: unit price, number of times purchased. So how regular is the customer, and how willing. So that number of times purchased will give the decision makers the ability to know the retention time. So how have they been able to retain their customers over a period of time? So total revenue, how much they've been able to gain from each customer. So if we are also used to the business world, there's what we call customer acquisition cost. So how much it costs to get a customer. So for businesses that run ads, so when you're done running ads, you check the cost of that ads to the number of customers that joined prior to when you were running the ads. So that will give you your customer acquisition cost, how much it costs you to acquire one customer. So total revenue, data usage, customer churn status, so whether they've left or they are still using it and the reason they left. So if we are all on our system, so can we load the data? So we progress gradually before the end of the classes, or just want us to at least practice some of these charts. So, but first things first, can we load the data sets to our systems? And if we've done that, so at least if you can give me a thumbs up so it's easier for us. Sorry, you can't see my screen. So, are other participants seeing the screen or is just you?
I can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. So, Fab, I think the best thing might be that you log out and log in again to see if it will work on your end. So for us to import the data, if you've downloaded this data, this MTN customer chunk, is it on your downloads? So if it's on your downloads, you need to move it to this Google Colab platform. So how you can do that is by, you can either do drag and drop it into this. So if you open your file explorer, just a minute, let me show you. So if you open your file explorer and this is the data set, so you can just pick it up and drag it into this environment. So if you drag it into this environment, then this line of code will be easy for you to load the data set. So it needs to be, because you're working on cloud, so it needs to be on your cloud environment. But if you are using the ones like IDEs installed on the system, then you can use it from either your document folder or your downloads folder. So is there any other question in terms of importing the data set and loading it? So I'll just give us, let's say, 2 minutes. If we've done that, so we'll proceed. But if you have any question, please feel free to mention what question you have or any concern, then we can try our possible best. to answer. So if we are done loading the data set, which is this, by calling the data with the title of the data, so which is why this is why we did this line of code. Then so I believe we must have all done this stage. So after that, because of we are working on visualization and we want to use the Matplotlib library and also the Seaborn library, if you can import these necessary libraries, that will be very helpful. So you can either import the libraries at the beginning of your Python notebook or on each code. If you want to visualize, you can also do it there. So, but it's best to give your notebook a structured approach. It's best you import the library, import the data sets on their own line of code. Then subsequently, if you want to work with it, you call it from the other codes. So when you go down. So have we been able to do these two parts? So
Okay,
for the
Sandra has a question. She said
yes,
the importing, is it sequential or any of the library can come first?
any of the library can come first. The most important thing is you run it and you load it. So let's say if you want to work on Seaborn, you can just use it, import Seaborn as this. But because I know the data set or the visualization we'll be using down has to do with the two of them. And pandas, most of these libraries on Python are centered on pandas. So that's why pandas is the first before these two libraries. So you can follow these formats for them sequentially. But if we are not using Seaborn, we can delete it. If you are not using this, you can delete it. So, but pandas is usually, it comes in handy. So because with the pandas, it's easier for you to load the data sets and more like everything on Python has to do with this looks like the basic library for Python. So it helps with data cleaning and helps with data exploration as well. So if we are done importing the necessary libraries and also loading the data set, can we progress with this? So while doing this, it's very important for you to know the types of the data types on each column, so you know how to work with them. So that's why this line of code is here, because as a data analyst, you need to understand the data sets and know what each column stands for. So it will be easier for you when running your line of code or when writing the line of code, in case if you experience any error, you can easily understand where the challenge is from. So this is the desired output. The object floats integer to this. So this can also be replaced with the info. So there are different ways you could do this in data types. You could decide to use other syntax or line of code. So, but this data types, this line of code is straightforward. You could use the info one, which is also comes in handy, but the main thing is just to know the data type. So anyone you use will be very helpful. Then after which, sorry, are we done with this stage? The data type. Okay. So after this, it's also important for us, like, just to see the head of the data set. So you could either do the first 5 rows, or you could change this 5 here and put 10. So you can feel free to alter the line of code to what you think is possible or what you want to visualize. This gives you the first 10 rows of the data set. Please, are we all following? Okay. So should I proceed, or I should still give us some time? Sandra, are you up to speed now? Okay. So this one just gives us the first 10 rows of the data set. So this is the line of code to see the head of the data set. You can also change this to the tail if you want to see the last few rows of the data set. So this head here can be changed to tail. So most of the time, this line of code, you can alter it to what suits you. If you want to see the first 15 rows, you can alter this. So keep it back to 10 or 5 as it was initially. So we are moving on to the next.
Sorry,
Just the
Uche,
base.
I think someone had a question. I think it was Samuel. Do you still have the question,
Okay.
or has it been answered? Okay,
Okay,
Samuel, you
so
can
Samuel,
unmute your mic
yeah.
and ask.
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to ask. So, this line of code you have here, print first 10 row. Let's say you want to do the last 10, you have to change the first to last, correct?
So you not just change the first to last.
And
This here is just the representation of this. So once you want to like give a title to something, then you put it in this inverted and you use this. So it's on the new line. So that's just this. If you see, if I change this now to, let's say, I can decide to label it last. Run the code, changes it. So it has nothing to do with this. So it just changes this. So this is just like the text. If you want to title this, so it depends on how you're presenting the data, the report. So if you want to title it first 10 rows, last 10 rows. So when you could do the last 10 rows, if you change this head here to tail, so this is the number of rows on this data set up to 970 something. So even if you open it up on Excel, you'll see this is the last 10 rows on that data set. So this here is just the naming convention. So I can decide to mislead the person and label this last 10 rows. Why is the first 10 rows? But you see, if you label this wrongly, you see this number here, it will sell you out because you can't tell the person 964 is the first 10 row or 965 or 966.
all right,
So
thank you.
somewhere, is that clear
Yes,
enough?
it is. It is.
Okay. So I can. To proceed to this. So just to create a simple line graph. So this is just weeks. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I believe in the first few classes you had, they do have explained to us how to store data and how to label it. So because this here has been stored into this data frame weeks. So if you call this up on subsequent line of code, it will have these numbers in mind as what you are talking about or what you are discussing on, same way as sales. So to create just a simple line graph, so I want us to just experiment this. So you could decide to label your own something else. You could say days of the week or how much you make in a week or month. So you could just label it something else and you could alter this figures if you want. You can play around it. So if we are done here, so this is like the data we need for just this simple line graph. Then we can proceed. Okay, Samuel, go ahead. Yes, Samuel, you can unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. For the sales, for the figures for the sales and weeks, are they in the MTN data set?
No. This is just like a simple, I want to use the simple one before we use this data set to work. So just to use this simple graph, this simple data set, this is just 2-column data set with this 5 rows. So they're not on this data set at all. So it's just like generates your own, you can name it whatever you want to name it.
Okay, I think I get it now. So it's more like a random numbers.
Yes,
Yeah.
a
Okay.
random number, yeah. So after this, we can practice this. You don't need this because we've done it here. But just like I said, you can still decide to be calling it on each line of code if you want. But if you delete this, it will still work perfectly fine. So it all depends on how fanciful or how orderly you want your Python notebook to be. I'll put this up for, let's say, the next 3 to 5 minutes. So if we are done with this, we'll proceed. So we can make it 5 minutes. We'll use this timer to time ourselves. So here, this plot stands for the library which we used. So if you see, that's import matplotlib as this. So this is, we are working with simple line graph using matplotlib. So that's why this is here. Then we use the weeks, which is this data set here. The sales, which is this. And also understand that the naming convention, if this is spelled wrongly, it won't be able to work the same way as the weeks. So we need to check if it's case sensitive. So we also need to understand the naming convention while naming. Then for this marker O here is just this O here. So if you decide to change this to, let's say, X and run it, you see, notice this point here changes to X. So you can also take away this, it doesn't need to be there. So you can decide what you want on the graph. So you can play around it with whatever you want. So please, if you have any question, don't hesitate. So what error did you get, Samuel?
I'm seeing value error. It said raise value error, bracket open F, then X and Y must have same first dimension, but
So
so
what
it's
is, okay, what is your X? Is it on this one here or this one?
I don't know if I can share my screen so you'd see the code I typed. I don't know. I'm looking for possible errors here. I'm not seeing.
Okay, sorry, let me stop sharing so you can share your screen. Yeah, you can share your screen.
Okay. I'm sharing now.
Okay. So look at your sales.
Sales.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have, the weeks is made of 5 rows. Your sales is made of 6 rows. So the 1007, you put that comma there has made one,
Okay.
a row on its
Okay.
own and 7 on its own. So the same, you could change the one up as well. Sorry, you still have one up.
One.
On your line of code number 13. So it still has 1,7 on the
One.
sales.
One comma. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So run it. Yeah. So but it's still showing this error.
Name
Sorry.
error plot.
Just a minute. Let me see. It's just basically most of the errors people face in Python and everything is just the naming convention.
Okay, I think I've seen the error. I see the same thing.
So what's the error?
I've seen the
Yeah.
error. Thank you.
Okay. So that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Casey, you are getting an error while loading the data set. So that's so do you want to go first, Sandra? I can explain. Maybe if you can share your screen so it's easier for me to understand. I'll stop sharing now.
So can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So can you see my screen?
No, I can't.
I started sharing my screen, but since you can't see it, okay, let me share again. I didn't just send it. So can you see it?
Yeah, it's coming up now. Yes. Oh.
So can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay.
So where is the error?
See the error is this place. Unrecognized mark. Can't see my name.
Sandra, if you go up, keep going up.
Okay.
You see, this way you've written this code,
Okay.
it's not the best
Okay.
because you've written all the line of code on one cell.
Okay.
So
I should
it's
import
very
on a different.
important. Yes, it's very important you structure your line of code. Like if you import the library, you call your data set. So you need to follow. That's why if I don't know if I can go up again. So you see, you follow that pattern because now as you are running this line of code, you are importing the library here. You are calling up the data set. You are
So
viewing the
should
head
I?
and the info of the data set. You
Where
are
should I
doing the
put?
sales. So there's a whole lot of things that you are giving this
Can I cut?
ID. Yeah, you can cut them. So you see that one has gone through. You paste, do another one. You cut this one from the df.info down. No, sorry, from the df.info. You cut it, then run. So at least the ID needs to know that your data set is alive before you start bombarding it with every other thing. So you still cut this df.head down. So you just follow that structure.
So I
So
can cut from here.
cut the wicks down. So this one now you can run this one because they're all on the same. So it's
Yes.
here. If you run this, if there's an error, that's when I will understand what the error is for. So now let me see what the error says. Sorry, I can't see your screen very well. Is it blurry?
Can you see it now?
Just a minute. Let me check. Okay, yeah, I can see it well now. So first things first, this your I'm trying to understand where this error is from. plus weeks sales, yes, marker. So this marker should be O for orange.
Hey. Maybe.
Run it.
Hey.
Yeah.
So what's the marker for, sir? Sorry.
So that marker, it's, you see at this, the intersection between the sales and the this and the
Weekly.
sales and the week for each point. So that's O is just to give you that point. If you change that O to X, you will see the that intersection will also change to X. So that's just what it's for.
Thank you, sir. Let
Yeah.
me stop sharing my screen.
So there's someone else, Casey. Do you
Thank you,
want
sir.
to? Yeah, no problem. Casey, do you want to explain to us the data set? So Casey, have you moved this data
Hello?
set to your cloud environment?
Yeah, I'm getting an error. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'm getting an error while loading that data set. Okay, let me share my screen.
Yes, please, if you can.
If you can see it, let me know.
Yes, I can.
Okay. So
So for that read, is the first line is read underscore CSV.
read, okay.
Underscore CSV. To run it. I think that's what you basically need.
So
Sorry, let me see. So look at your pandas. Import pandas as import pandas as PD.
yes. Okay, so this is a PD.
PD. So your pandas is DP.
So let me run this. Then I run this.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. So okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. So I'll scroll up. So every other line of code you can just, because the naming convention is very important. That's what's.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Any question, any challenge before we proceed?
Yeah, sorry, please. I want to understand the what's plot.grind equals to true does in the line of code.
Sorry, just a minute. Let me. So what do you say?
I want to understand in the syntax, that's PLT, that's plot.grind, bracket true. I want to understand what it really does in the line
So
of code.
if you see on the chart, it's in grid. So
Is
if
it
you
what?
don't want grid, those lines in between.
Okay.
So
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get it.
So that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
So some of this syntax, if you want just the basic this thing, you can do it. You don't need to label. You don't need to. So it depends on how, everybody. If you want to arrange it or make it so posh or so presentable, then you start looking at. You could get some line of code to even change the color to green or make it fanciful.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So If we are all good, I'll continue sharing, then we proceed. So for Casey, I think you are still somewhere here. So if you can. Just or I'll share this notebook at the end of the class. So I think we are all, I think, around this line.
I can't see your screen.
Oh, you can't see my screen.
Yes.
Another see my screen. Okay. Casey, maybe you might need to join again. I don't know why, but so let's proceed. So we don't. So this is using, this simple line is using matplotlib. So now we'll do that using Seaborn library. So because for line plots, matplot library is best suitable for it. Histogram, the both can work perfectly well. For pie chart, matplotlib is best suitable for it. Bar plots, the both libraries can work perfectly well. So for Seaborn library, we also have so for Seaborn library, we also have scatter plot, count plot, heat map, box plot. So depend on the visualization, there are libraries that are best suitable. So for the Seaborn, for this simple line graph, this is the line of code you need. But for this one, this is what you need. So it all depends on, gone are the days where you need to cram, print, and everything. These days you have access to resources online, materials where you could get the syntax, then tweak it to fit your purpose. So this is still like the basic, just a sample weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sales 1,000, 1,500, 1,300, 1,700, 1,600, just simple data set. So after this, we'll then go into the data set which we imported from the MTN. I'll just give us maybe 3 minutes, something, or 5 minutes. Three 3 minutes. Please feel free if you have any question, just unmute yourself and ask. Thank you. Hi, Manuela, you can go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I was putting in the code, but when I got to this SNS dot to set this Seaborn style, I tried to execute it because I was checking it line by line to make sure I was not making any mistake. At that point, it was now giving me error.
Can I, if you can
Okay.
share your screen, sorry.
Mm. Can you see it now?
Yes, I can.
So from here, Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm going through the line of code. Just give me a minute.
Okay. Or was it because I changed the figures in this field, or they have to be the same with the other one?
No, you can alter any figure because we stored them into a different data frame here. So I'm just checking it to understand. Okay. So if you are changing the names, you see, like the one I showed you, I changed the name. So weeks was what I used on the first one. On the second one was week. The first one was sales, all small letter. The second one was sales, first capital letter. So if you check here, the fact you've done weeks, all small letter, it's more like you are still, the naming convention with the first one will be confusing.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've seen the error on your data. So that's weeks, the first line on that cell. So if you can make it either week or
Still giving me error.
just a minute, I'm checking. And also df underscore sales.
I should reduce it.
Yeah, sales. So pd dot data frame. Yeah. Underscore. So data frame as well. Data frame capital F.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So if we have any question, please just unmute yourself.
Can you take us back to your screen, please?
Okay, let me share. So you've seen like most of the challenges we face today is naming convention. So that naming, the way you name is very important. So small is because Python, these notebooks are quite case sensitive. So you also check your naming because as a technical person, when faced with challenges, troubleshooting is like the major consumer of time you face because if you don't see that small letter F to capital letter F, you could possibly read through. Imagine you have 1,000 line of code and just one place is giving you that error and you don't find out what it is. You have to study each line of code judiciously before you notice where the error is. So the first things first is understand that it's case sensitive, and why labeling it or why writing it, you also need to watch out for those, the naming convention and also the spelling as well. So if we are done, can I continue to the next one? Or should I still give us a few minutes?
Yes, sir, just a few minutes.
Okay. Permit me to proceed. So the next set of visualization we'll be carrying out will now be on the data itself, which we imported. So we'll start with a basic bar chart. So from customer reviews, we have good, very good, excellent, poor, fair. So just to show, like very good, we had 200 plus customers reviewed. They left a very good customer review for MTN. Why between 150, so we can say 160 plus left excellent review. Good was close to 200, poor was close to 200, and fair was close to 200. As let's say we had the management meeting and you present this dashboard. So as an analyst, the ratio of good to poor or fair, you can see if you add up the good, the excellent, and very good, it outnumbers the negative feedback. So that gives the business owner or decision maker, the decision makers at least, a confidence in their service and what they provide to show that they are meeting up customers, they are up to standard in terms of customers' needs and demands. So, but had it been reversed were to be the case, then the decision makers or the strategic leads will have to re-strategize and look at worst case scenarios, best case scenarios, and try to learn something from this case. So if you're handling, so it's best to handle projects or analytical reports or dashboards like a project. So at the end of it, you understand worst case scenario. So what have you not done well? What can you improve on subsequent reports? And improve on it. So we could alter the color if you want. So you could make amendments. You could change the labeling to whatever you want. Should we go ahead or? At least for today's class, were we able to achieve this line graph, this basic one? At least if all of us were able to get this done, at least that's a starter. Because the most important thing is for us to understand the basics. Then when we go deeper into it, you see it changes to more complex. So something like this. But with the basic, it gives you the ability to not feel scared and to venture into it. So starting might look difficult, but that's the best and the first step to achieving what we might want to achieve at the end of this section. So is anybody up to this place or this cell? Okay. So should we proceed or wait a little while? Because we are now close to 1.5 hours into today's session. Okay, we'll proceed to the next one. So this is still the same bar chart, but with a different approach. And the bars have been colored this time around. So, and for you to know these colors, if you know how it's being spelled or what each one is, light green, light blue, and which one, so you could alternate it and choose. And with like most ID is now, so if you just want to know what all this line of code means, want to understand them in the fine-grained details, so you can just click here and it explains all the code for you. So it also comes in handy as well. Makes it easier for the learner not to cram a lot of code, because gone are the days where analysts or computer programmers can sit and write codes or refer to big textbooks or dictionaries or programming materials. So with all these features incorporated in these IDs, it's easier for analysts or programmers to ask questions, get better explanation on the codes and clarity. So we can proceed to the next chart, which is a pie chart. So pie charts, based on the data set we have, so we decided to do the gender distribution of customers. So what customers are more on this NTN data set, which we have. So from this distribution, we could see the female have more percent, which is 50.8%, as against male, which is 49.2%. So this pie chart distribution, this line of code here was done using matplotlib. So matplot makes pie chart function very easy. So it's very easy to do this with matplot. So like, it's advisable, most libraries have the suitable visualization that works perfectly fine with it, while some have the one that works also better with it and also makes the line of code just straightforward. So as against the Seaborn, this is Seaborn, so this is the line of code. So this line of code, these days, we have access to simpler ways to make this line of code easier, but I doubt with this Seaborn, it still shows that it's more complicated using Seaborn to visualize a pie chart, unlike this one, matplotlib. So by just using this, it saves you a whole lot of time. So that's where, if you notice, this plot like pie, each visualization comes with its own uniqueness. So for pie chart, this is, you put it dot pie. So then you make reference to the data set and the color codes you want on them. So on this one is just the title. So if you change this, you see this title here, this gender distribution of customers also changes. So please, if you have any question, just unmute yourself and I'll leave this one. Let's practice this one because the Seaborn line of code is quite longer, but I'll make this notebook available for everyone at the end of the session. So if we can do this, I can set up 5 minutes again. So please, if you have any question, just unmute yourself and ask. So if you can practice this pie chart for a start. At least I want at the end of today's session, we'll be able to at least accomplish, even if it's two, either the line graph, the pie chart, or the bar chart that you can do. You can beat your hands on your chest and say, oh, I was able to visualize this. So all these visualization and charts are under exploratory data analysis. So if you get a data set, so you run, so there's a process, so the pipeline, same way as we have project lifecycle, there's a pipeline for data analysis as well. When you collate the data, you clean the data, pre-processing, exploratory data analysis before you now venture into analyzing it, be it, are you carrying out sentiment analysis? Are you checking how correlated the data sets are or the columns are? Or are you carrying out a linear regression? Or depending on supervised or unsupervised? So it's all depends, but at least the basic, the collation, the processing, the pre-processing, that's the cleaning and everything, and the exploratory data analysis are the fundamental parts or processes that needs to be done before you now advance into either linear regression or supervised or unsupervised modeling. So I'll be in the background. If you need any assistance, feel free to unmute yourself and ask any question. Jeffrey, do you have any question? You can go on.
No, I don't have any question. When I go through it, maybe next class, if I have any question, I will raise it with you, sir.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. So we have a few seconds left. Then we can proceed to another visualization. The next one is the histogram. So we use the age distribution to visualize it using histogram. So the same way we are doing this on Python programming language, we still have R as well. So R is also a different language, which you need to install R Studio. So still the same thing. You can do similar thing on R as well. You view the first 10 rows or the last 10 rows. You explore the data, check how correlated they are, check the data types on each column. and also make little visualizations to understand, to have an in-depth knowledge of what the data set you have or you are working with consists of. So like, for example, if you go for a meeting and they ask how many females are on this data set or how many males, so with this percentage, you can convert the percentage to know the exact number of customers that are female and also the exact number of customers that are male. So this chart here, which we are seeing, a question can come out of it being for the analyst to say, okay, give us the number of males and give us the number of females. So if your boss don't want to stress himself converting with the percentage, so it's our duty as well. Even with this percentage, you can still include, which means male equals to 49, can be around 400 and something, while female might be up to 500 and something, depending on the size of the data set or the customers and data sets. So this one, when I send out this notebook, we'll be able to just go through the Seaborn library approach to visualizing a pie chart. Okay, so the next one was just an additional work. So using Matplotlib just to change the color of this line graph. So to tweak it a little bit, make it fanciful, make it colorful. And that's just what was done here. You know, like I earlier mentioned, you can change the line, the color, the grid, you can alter it to what suits you. So it depends if your company color brand is either green or blue or yellow, you can just customize it to suit the desired audience. And that's just what I did here. So we use dotted line instead of solid line. So if you see here, line style, we just use this. So color as well, green. So if you check deeply into serious or several lines of code, you see it's just little alterations that are made to beautify the chart. So you can change this green, you can put blue. And run it, it changes it to blue. So don't feel scared making alterations to your line of code. That's why you're an analyst. So you can make alterations, gives you the ability to tweak certain things and see what the output looks like and choose what's best suitable. But if you want to leave it as simple as possible, you can as well. So the most important thing is we are still starting up in the journey as beginners. Leaving it as simple as possible will go a long way. So you don't get to see lots of error on the codes. And once you see errors like that and you've tried 30 minutes, 1 hour trying to understand where the mistake was from, if you don't get that clarity within few minutes of your approach, it's more like demoralizes you. And if you have no one to reach out to give you a second look, because at times you might write a line of code, series line, you might write lines of code, and because of the number of hours you've put into it, you get tired and worn out and fatigued. So you might not pay attention to certain details. But if you have a second eye, just go through it. At times, the second eye or the second person points out where the error is quicker than you if you are not, if you don't approach it in a gentle and calm way. So, but if you approach it too rushed or hasty, you make hasty decisions and you just say, oh, it can't work because of the errors. So, but might just be little thing that needs changing or labeling, and you get the solution to the error. So we should understand as analysts, troubleshooting is part of the role. So at times it could take you weeks, it could take you hours to troubleshoot an error. So we should not be scared or feel this is not for me. We can all achieve it, or we can all do better. So with time, you'll get used to it and you'll be able to excel. So I believe we've done this part. Can I proceed now? Okay, thank you, Samuel. So this is the histogram using Matplotlib. For histogram, the two libraries can work effectively. So this histogram, just to show distribution of single variations, here we are working on the age distribution of customers on this data set. So how are the customers distributed by age? So those age 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. In MTN data sets, we have few persons aged 280. So you could see from this data set as an analyst, if you have been asked the question, so please, can you tell us what age bracket should we focus more while rolling out our products as an MTN data analyst? So here from this histogram, you can quickly
30.
see 30. Yeah. So because 30 has more, not just more than the closest is 50. So you see, you can now give a bullet point to this to say 30 because they're the peak of their career and most of them use data to carry out certain tasks. Then next after 30 are 50s. So people, we can say those in their 50s might have retired and just relaxing or doing certain things, but their demands are not high as those that are way younger. So if you check from, let's say, 10 to 40, they are more in number in terms of customer impact. So if you target between age grade from 20 to 40, you've gotten more than half of your customers in this data set. So that does not mean you should leave the other age grade out of it. So you can have plans or bundled plans, data plans for these younger ones, younger customers, which you know that are your target audience. Then for the older customers, you also have a different data bundle for them to suit their needs. So this is what you can do with it. So I'll give us a few minutes as well if we can just practicalize this. So you can change the color, can change the title. You feel free to alter anything. So the most important thing, once you alter something, if you run it, if there is error, you check, you cross-check, and we need to be inquisitive. It's just like the way when we were small, at our younger age, we ask questions, we approach things like we've not done it before. But as we get older, we just try to resist from that approach. We take our time and we just do the basic. So, but feel free to be inquisitive in certain things and always change your line of code where necessary, or if you just want to see what it will look like. Cases, don't go ahead.
Okay, my question is, I thought whenever you want to actually call for a specific, they're supposed to like call out the MTN customer, the data on like now this line of code that is here that you highlighted is not calling out the MTN customer service data.
So
Okay,
this is it. DF, the data frame.
okay, so name to the
So if you go up, you see it was named DF.
as the
Yeah.
okay.
So because you can't be calling this, it's not recognized. So you need to give it a name. So read this into data frame DF. So subsequently, what we just use is DF.
Okay.
DF. So if you check, you can see DF. So once you call DF, you put the column you want to visualize and line of code. I know we've been, I think it's over an hour, 15 minutes. So don't worry, we are almost, oh, sorry. Yeah, we're almost close to the finish line. Yes, I'll make the document available after the classes, Sandra. So because the advantage of this Google Collab, it's just like your Google Drive. You can share with somebody, you can invite another author. So it makes collaborating with different professionals quite easier. Unlike if you're using just the IDE installed on your laptop. So, and basically everybody has a Gmail. So it also makes it easier for everyone to participate actively in class. Unlike if you're using the software, the IDEs you install on the laptop, it might not be up to the standard. And at times when running most of the most lines of code, it might hang or it might experience some technical issues or some errors based on the IDE setup. So, but with Google Colab, you're working on a cloud-based infrastructure, so it's very easy and also efficient. So this is the histogram charts visualization with Matplotlib. So the next one we'll be going to is using Seaborn. If we are done with this line of code and we proceed, Yeah, I'll wait for a few minutes again. Maybe if I see thumbs up, then I'll know we are done. So I'll proceed. We are tired because of the time spent so far, but I believe we've learned, even if it's one or two visualization of charts, either the bar chart, the pie chart, or the line graph. And this histogram as well. So at least we have something to take home. So we can import any data sets of our choice and just follow the same approach. So try your hands on new data sets or different data sets. You could generate your data sets, dummy data sets, just use it to play around or practice what you've done today. Can we proceed now? Can we hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. It's because somebody's brain is tired. I'm so sorry. I know we should be eating rice now. And also with Liverpool winning the Premier League, we also need to relax on that. So please, just give me 5 minutes. I'm done now. So the next one is just still the same histogram, but Seaborn library. So just to see what it looks like using Seaborn to visualize a histogram. So you see here, it's just SNS histoplots. So white grid, you can change this grid to whatever color you want. So this color as well, you can change it. So there are certain things you can tweak when working on most of these lines of code. So I know we are all tired. Maybe we'll do it this way. This histogram and this, so this is like a tax. So I want us to plot customer tenure in months versus number of times purchased to see any trends. So if we can plot this, I'll make this available for us, this document. So if we can plot it, if you have any questions, just drop it on the chat. And that's the WhatsApp message. So I can pick it up from there. So please, do we have any question? Emanuela, Henry, Samuel, Sandra, Ibuka, Casey, Ukamaka, Eukaria, and Jeffrey, please, do we have, or what can we say we've learned today? If you can just tell me one thing, as a teacher, it's very important to get feedback from those that are in the section or in the class, so you know where, if you've touched the life, it's just as you go for you finish ministry, you need to know if you've touched one life or two lives. So if we've been able to impact knowledge on somebody, please, you can unmute yourself and just tell us what you've learned before we close.
My name is Henry, and I think so far I think my eyes have been opened to a lot of things, beginning from the first section up to this point. And I think the summary of what we are doing so far is the data that we've cleaned, we've sorted, and the rest of them, how to just try to make them make more sense to, let's say, our clients or people who need the data by visualizing them. And you've talked, in visualizing them, we've done the pie charts, the histogram you talked of, just being able to interpret them and understand the line of codes. And I think so far it's been interesting, and I think I'm enjoying the ride. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Harry. It's nice hearing those kind words. Thank you. So anybody, if you feel free, you can also drop a message, then I'll reply. Okay, thank you, Sandra, for your feedback, and Emanuela for your feedback. So thank you all for making today's session a wonderful one. So if in the course of practicing or using the materials, if we encounter any challenge, please feel free to drop a message on the WhatsApp chat, and either myself or Nidu will pick it up, or Stanley will bring it to our attention, then we can speak through it or work on it. So thank you all. Have a good evening. Have a good night rest, and get ready for tomorrow's sessions and at least your day's task, the new week ahead. Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. Thank you, Divine.
Thank you so much, Uche.
Okay. Take care, everyone. See you soon.
Yeah, bye. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And keep practicing.
I think somebody's hand is up.
Oh, whoa, sorry, I didn't see that. No, there's nobody's.
I think she dropped it again.
Okay, no problem. So if you have any question, just drop on the WhatsApp message chat, the WhatsApp chat, then we can pick it up from there. Thank you all. It has been a wonderful session with you. Take care. And bye.
Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye.